Weencast, a Ween podcast with Shane and Rory.
Hey, what's up? This is Shane.
And this is Rory.
And this is Weencast. What is going on, everybody?
Hey, everybody. Welcome back.
This is the 2023 stunningly staggering and stupendous Weencast Summer Contest results episode.
Hell yeah.
Whoo, mouthful.
Dude, I just want to say before we actually get into the submissions, thank you so much, fans, for a lot of amazingly cool stories about Ween shows.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. We can't thank the people who sent the submissions enough. This is great.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess a little bit before we get started, the winner today is going to win a beautiful cutting board emblazoned with the mighty Boognish from West Brandywine Woodworks. And it is fantastic. We've been putting some pictures of it up on the socials. And so we'll kind of have a picture of it attached to this episode so people can kind of be jealous of the winner.
Yeah, and for this year, we wanted to do, something a little bit different, but, it really was a tough question. So we just kind of threw out there, what was your favorite Ween show you attended and why? And, I mean, it is really difficult to choose, but, we've had hard subjects the last few years, like favorite Ween song, favorite Ween album. So, we got some really cool entries and some really valid submissions for awesome shows.
Yeah, dude. So what I really love, a few things that I'll say is that the shows run the gamut. We've got a few shows from back in the day, one from the 90s, a few from the early 2000s. We've got some people talking about shows that happened when they first came back from the reunion back in like 2016. And we also have some people talking about 2023. By all accounts, people have been reporting that shows this year during the summer tour, but also the spring, have just been fantastic.
Absolutely. Yeah, it sounds like it's been an amazing year.
Yes.
And a really great West Coast tour.
Yeah, man. Sadly, I haven't been able to go to any shows this year yet. I guess we'll see what happens if they play at the Philly Met in December or not.
Yeah, maybe some shows this winter, yeah.
Yeah, dude. So they run the gamut, and we got some people submitted audio recordings that we'll be sharing, and a few people just typed them up for us, which is cool. And so we'll be reading those for you as well. Another note is the way the format's going to work today is we have them in a random order, and we are just going to present them, talk briefly about each one, just very briefly, because we think most of these entries or all of these entries really speak for themselves. We'll say a few words about each one before we play the next one. And then at the end of the episode, we will announce which one was the winner. So that's a little different than we've done it in the past, but this will help keep the suspense for all of the contestants until the very end of the episode.
Oh, yeah. So you have to hang in there till the end to find out who wins.
Yes. To find out, was it Colonel Mustard in the ballroom with the candlestick? You'll have to wait till the end of the episode to find out.
What's up, Ween heads? It's Travis from West Brandywine Woodworks here. I'm back with an exclusive offer for Weencast listeners only. As you know, West Brandywine Woodworks creates handmade items for the home, and I would like to extend a 10% discount on all orders and free shipping on all cutting board and serving tray purchases over $100. Just mention Weencast when you place your order. It's that simple. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram. Don't forget to mention Weencast for your 10% off and free shipping on board orders over $100. And as an added bonus, I'll even hand deliver to you if you're within 30 miles of the shop. For quality you can depend on, come to West Brandywine Woodworks and mention Weencast. Boognish lives!
So should we get started with our first submission?
Hell yeah.
All right.
Well, go ahead. You want to introduce who it is?
Yeah, man. So this is our friend Sean. So Sean's done submissions on, I don't know if it was all the contests, but I know at least one previous one. He's talking about one of the shows from when they first came back. So this is 4/16/2016 at Terminal 5 in New York City. So we had seen, was it the night before this, or was that the...
I believe we saw the first one of the 3, 14.
Yeah, we saw the first one, and is this the second night or the third night?
This is the third.
Okay, so this would be the third night of New York City 2016. So now, do you want to read this in a specific accent? Rory's been working on his accents, by the way.
Full disclosure, I haven't really been working on them, so we'll see how it goes. All right, Sean. All right. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Me's a gonna speak for Sean, man. I would say that Ween at Terminal 5 on April 16, 2016 is my favorite show, man. But it's my only. I still need to remedy that. That show was total fire. However, I'm still going to be selfish. As amazing as seeing Ween live was for me, nothing beats playing Echoes with Dean Ween and friends, and being one of said friends in the band name, John and Peters. Yeah, man. 3 times. Always a blast. With some serious energy right there. Diener has joined me on stage once when I was doing a solo gig, and once when I was playing with the Adventure soundtrack. I love jamming with the guy. We be jamming. Those moments were fun, but that's the real shit right there, man. I really need to see Ween again. I really need to do an Echoes gig again.
Cool, man.
All right. So thank you, Sean, for the entry. And Sean's an awesome guy. And I was just chatting with him a little bit, an email about him playing with Diener with the Echoes, which is so cool. And I'd love to be able to chat with him more about that later. So we are hoping we can put something together. Just a little bit about the Terminal 5 April 16th show. Some of the highlights. So a real quick rundown of some of the rarities that were played. Strap on that jammy pack. Now I'm freaking out. Up on the hill, did you see me? Israel, which was only like the 7th time all time. So that was like super rare. I got to put the hammer down. Squelch the weasel. Don't laugh, I love you. Joppa Road. Sorry, Charlie. Drifter in the dark. She fucks me. And Fluffy.
Wow.
Yeah, dude. That's awesome. Those are like all the rarities, like the about 100 or so or less plays all time.
Yeah, those were amazing shows, and I still have to wonder, like, did they just map out the whole, like, 3 nights at once? I'm assuming so, just because, no repeats.
Yeah, this is one. So they did the 3 in Broomfield, Colorado, and then they were clamoring for more. And when the Broomfield shows were going on, I don't think these were confirmed yet. So it was really still uncertain. Like, are they back? Are they just doing 3 shows and that's it? Like, what's going on? So the Terminal 5 was like the next 3. And absolutely, dude, like without asking someone from the band, I got to agree and say they totally mapped it out. Otherwise, there would have been a lot of repeats.
Right.
So this was very intentional. But the other thing that I'll just add is like coming out of the gate, and this is like the 6th show back, this sets the tenor for the whole reunion era. And when I say reunion era, I just basically mean from 2016 on.
Yeah.
I consider this whole thing to be like a reunion era.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say that this sets the tenor for it, it's just jam-packed with rarities.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just songs that like really got very little play until the reunion. Don't Laugh, I Love You, Joppa Road, Israel, Up on the Hill, like Strap on That Jammy Pack. Like these are just songs that really get very little play. So great entry, Sean. Great entry.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man.
Yeah, man. This is a good entry, man. All right, shall we go to the next one?
Yeah, man. Okay. So our next entry comes from our fairly new friend Avromi from the Secondhand Talent YouTube channel. So he had talked about one of the more recent shows that I saw a lot of people had gone to, which is 9-9 from this year in Chicago.
Yeah, dude. And, Secondhand Talent's a great YouTube channel, so check it out. Here is Vromi's entry.
What is going on, Ween fam? It's your boy Steiner here from Secondhand Talent, answering the question, what is my favorite Ween show and why? Well, I'm kind of glad I held off on answering this one, because 9-9 at the Salt Shed, when Gina looked right at my wife, I'd say, this young lady that just got married, she wants to hear Oh My Dear, we're going to play it. And then the live debut of I Fell in Love Today, and then the bust out of If You Love Me. I mean, come on now. For context, on one of the very first dates my now wife and I ever went on, she asked me to put on a dance song, and I put on Oh My Dear. She said, what the fuck is this? And I said, any song is a dance song if you dance to it. And I think that's the crux of the biscuit of what Ween is, right? Any song's a dance song if you dance to it, right? They bring the music, we bring the meaning, and then it all comes together in a beautiful way. Just one other quick note about that show. So when they came out, Gina saw Steiner's sign and gave the big thumbs up, and they played almost every awesome, love song that they've got, some of the more raunchy ones. And then after Oh My Dear, to hear Diener go, fuck this, let's get back to the hate. Like, they're just so much fun, and they care about their fans. And that's really, really showed in that show. And I guess finally, a point of validation of that 9-9 show, which also made it incredible, is that, they busted out, they played If You Love Me for the second time since the late 90s. And, you never know what you're going to get. And seeing them now so happy and so healthy and looking so good and enjoying themselves, it's special as a fan.
All right, that's a cool entry, man. Thank you so much. And to get a little bit of that personal story in there, that's amazing that, that Gina actually acknowledged them like that. But yeah, I saw a lot of people talking about this one and the fact that they played I Fell in Love Today, which is from Shinola for the first time ever.
Yeah, dude, that's awesome.
Never been played before.
I got something to hold on to.
Dude, it's always great when you can get a song, a new song, right? And it's amazing to think that the song's been around for 20 plus years and never been played,
Yeah.
And there's Oh My Dear, only 10 times total. If You Love Me, 19 times. Let me just go ahead and read all the highlights, okay?
Yeah, go ahead.
If You Love Me, Albino Sunburn Girl, Oh My Dear, Help Me Scrape the Mucus Off My Brain, Light Me Up, Tried and True, Chocolate Town, I Fell in Love Today, Up on the Hill, Mononucleosis, Tender Situation, Loop de Loop, and Ace of Spades.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, dude.
Not only do you have one that's played for the first time, you got Loop de Loop is only 13 times. Oh My Dear, I can't even believe that's only been played 10 times.
Yeah, dude, that's cool. That's awesome.
That's amazing.
And it's funny too, because right now, podcasts, we're in 2003, basically the Quebec tour. And so some of these songs like Tried and True and Chocolate Town, outside the Quebec tour, they really haven't been played that much.
That's true too.
And so it's tried and true. And so it's just really neat to be like, dude, they're part of this show too. Like, it's just a neat connection.
Yeah, man.
And to get the person, like you mentioned, you got the personal shout out. And I love his comments just about seeing them up there having fun and really enjoying themselves up on stage. That's great. This show is just a couple weeks ago. So
yeah, great entry, man. Thank you so much.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. All right, our next entry is from Jenny Monster. And this is going back about 20 years to August 6th, 2003, the Beachcomber in Wellfleet, Massachusetts.
So this is right around the era that we've been talking about on the podcast anyway, which is
dude.
August from 2003. So that's fucking awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, our next show we're covering is August 1st in Columbus, Ohio.
Yeah, man.
So that's pretty freaking cool. Anyway, shall I read her entry?
Yeah, please do.
All right. Well, let's see what we can do with Jenny Monster. All right, we're gonna have some Benny wafers. I will record my voice, but I have a case of the woke flu from the Providence and Hampton Beach shows. I'm sure you will forgive me. I'm feeling pretty crappy and I sound atrocious. So here is what I wrote. 8603 at the Beachcomber in Wellfleet, Massachusetts. We hitchhiked from our campground and got picked up by this dude we had dubbed the Wook of Speed. The show was so intimate and amazing. They played These Nuts, which had us crying with laughter. Some other highlights were what Dina was talking about, the Grobe. Now I'm freaking out. The Enabler, Fat Lenny, and Awesome Sound. After the show, we skied down the sand cliff behind the Beachcomber and had a little bonfire on the beach. I'm not sure how the hell we made it back up that hill, but seeing Glenn jump naked over the fire was pretty memorable.
Wow.
I'm assuming she's talking about Glenn, her friend, not Glenn from the band.
I was wondering that too. If it was actually Glenn, that would be really amazing.
So,
So I.
Jenny, get back to us on that one after this episode, because if it is actually
Yeah.
Glenn, then that is pretty freaking amazing. But anyone jumping naked over fire is pretty cool. I hope they didn't get burned.
Yeah.
Wah, wah. You know?
Highlights from that show. Here, I'll read some highlights
Sure.
from that show. So like she had mentioned some of these already. Dancing in the Show Tonight, Now I'm Freaking Out, Tried and True, She's Your Baby, D's Nuts, Reggae Junkie Jew, Someday, and Enabler.
Yeah, we just mentioned Tried and True, right? This was the fourth time that was ever played,
Wow.
right? So totally a Quebec era, Quebec tour, just bringing that song out and very young. That, and then She's Your Baby this was the 19th time ever, 72 total. D's Nuts has only been played 2 times since then.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's definitely that's definitely the standout for that show, I would say. D's
Yeah.
Nuts.
And I would say this is a little bit more like mirroring like the times in terms of it's not like the reunion where you get like half of the set list are rarities. So the rarity is a little bit shorter on that, but there's still so many and some of these, like you said, D's Nuts 15 times total. The Enabler 45 times total. Like those are that's some rare shit.
Yeah, man.
And I also appreciate that for her highlights, she didn't just mention the rarities, like she mentions
Right.
Grobe and what else you say? The Grobe. Now I'm freaking out, like Fat Lenny, like Awesome Sound. Like those aren't like rare, but like it doesn't have to be rare for it to be an awesome song. Be an awesome.
Right.
It doesn't have to be rare to be an awesome sound.
Zing.
You see what I did there?
Yes, I did.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're on fire. All right. So should we move on to the next one?
Yeah, man. So our next entry comes from Jordan, who has been a great friend of the show since almost like day one, honestly. So big shout out to Jordan. Guy has been a great guy and always really complimentary to us and everything. And so this sort of goes back to that early reunion era. So he's talking about basically all 3 of the shows from the First Bank Center in Broomfield, Colorado, 212, 213, and 214 from 2016.
Yeah, totally.
So he doesn't really pick one in particular, but we'll kind of let it slide and we'll still accept his entry. And he wrote a nice long piece and sent it to us as well.
Yeah, so I'll go ahead and read that one. All right, what do we got here? What can we do here? Oh, bear on teeth. Yeah. The most unforgettable ween experience I had wasn't just a single show. It was a trilogy of shows over reunion concerts that took place over President's Day weekend in 2016. Here's why these shows are etched in my memory. For nearly 2 decades, Ween had held the title of my favorite band, but our relationship had a rocky start. In 1997, when South Park debuted. It was all me and my classmates talked about, and I started collecting South Park merch soon after. For Christmas in '98, nearly everything I asked for was South Park related, and Christmas Day is when I was gifted Chef Aid, the South Park album. As you're probably aware, this album features many contributions from various artists, including Ween. I distinctly recall listening to it that day and thoroughly enjoying most of the track, except for Ween's song, The Rainbow. At the time, I just didn't connect with it. It went over my 9-year-old head. I didn't think much about Ween after that until 2003, when one of my closest friends, Matt, a big fan of Wes Borland, the guitarist from Limp Bizkit, stumbled upon one of Wes Borland's side projects, Big Dumb Face. Big Dumb Face was heavily influenced by Ween. Some people even say they are straight ripoff. Reading about this made Matt decide to download some of Ween's tracks, which he ultimately ended up playing for me. I think the first song he played for me was Don't Shit Where You Eat. I was instantly captivated. Without hesitation, downloaded their album The Mollusk, and from that moment on, they became my all-time favorite band. My first Ween concert was at Ham on the River in Philadelphia in 2005. At the time, I didn't have a driver's license, so my mom graciously drove my friends and me on a 4-hour journey to Philly. As soon as I got my driver's license, I embarked on a mission to attend every Ween show could within a 3-hour drive. Then on May 29th, 2012, the unthinkable happened. While I was at my friend's house, he casually dropped the bombshell. Dude, Ween just broke up. My initial reaction was disbelief, thinking it was a prank. However, when he told me the Rolling Stone article, reality set in. I was profoundly crushed. Jumping ahead to the fall of 2016, the Ween fan community on Facebook and the subreddit began buzzing with rumors about a potential reunion show. I remained skeptical, initially dismissing it because it was just some dude claiming to work at a venue who heard it from other employees. However, a glimmer of hope emerged when the dormant Ween Facebook page suddenly posted a picture of the movie. Excitement coursed through me, and the possibility seemed real. Guarantee. When the Denver shows were officially announced, I was ecstatic. Upon reaching the hotel in Denver, it was evident that everyone in the vicinity was there for Ween. After months of planning, I was inside the First Bank Center, where we all stood eagerly waiting for Ween to take the stage. Then the moment we had all been waiting for had arrived. Again, this may sound lame, but tears welled up in my eyes. However, I'm sure I wasn't alone in that emotional moment. They kicked the show off with what Dina was talking about, which I knew was deliberate because a month or so before these shows, Dina live streamed on Twitch, and he spoke about how much time they put into deciding what song they would start with. Despite years of not playing together, the band sounded phenomenal. As you'd expect, they played all the hits, mixed in with some rarities, like Polo Asado, which was only ever played once before in 1995, and Israel, which was never played before. The highlight of all the set list, though, for me, was something completely unexpected. The debut of King Smokes, one of my favorite songs. The whole thing was an amazing experience that I will remember forever. It all culminated with a poignant image, the band members standing side by side, together on stage. Dean planting a kiss on Gino's head, happy that he got his brother back.
Wow.
Yeah, dude. Thanks, Jordan.
Yeah, man. I mean, I love that he tells like the story of where he was and hearing about like when Ween broke up, because that really takes me back to like that time period. You know what I mean? And having the exact same like feelings and emotions. We weren't able to make it to those Colorado shows, but you know, we certainly talked about it. You know?
Oh, dude! As soon as it was announced, I went to Amy. I was like, dude, like we got to do this. And then we kind of realized we can't. We weren't able to put it together.
Yeah, that was a lot. But, you know, just being able to go to one of those New York shows that then happened, it was a couple months later.
Yeah. But
then that was sort of like the first like East Coast shows that were announced. You know, that was really special to me.
Yeah. That makes me remember, I want to say the New York shows were announced like before Broomfield actually played, because I want to say that once I heard that they were announced, I was like kind of like relieved. And then I was like, okay, I can go to the New York shows, but maybe I'm just not remembering correctly. I will just say, we're not going to go with all the highlights because this is 3 shows and like they played 100 songs.
Right.
So there's got that I'd be reading for like a couple minutes. But he mentioned some of the top ones for him highlights. And I just also love how like he was 9 years old and his parents were okay with him watching South Park. Like that's pretty cool.
It could cross my mind. Yeah.
So that's funny. That's awesome. That's awesome. And it's funny how it's like, oh, I had Chef Aid, but it didn't connect with me when I was 9 years old. Oh, go figure.
Wow.
So that's a really good story. I love it.
Yeah, man.
All right, let's move on. Who's next?
Eli. So should we do Eli? Eli is a great friend of the show from the Ween Zine.
Among other things.
Yeah, among all of his other projects, which I know I won't be able to name them all, so I'm not going to try. But you can check out our interview with Eli, one of our earlier episodes. Yeah, so he's also talking about one of the more recent shows. So can we play his audio clip?
Yeah, so this is July 28th, 2023, the Greek Theater in Los Angeles, California.
What up, Weencast podcast? Just wanted to say what's up and tell you a little bit about what my favorite Ween show is. And guess what? It's always changing because it's always the most recent show that I've seen. So my favorite Ween show is from the Greek Theater, Los Angeles. It was just a couple months ago. It was a crazy fun day. I parked out in Griffith Park to catch the shuttle in, and I met a bunch of great dudes. We were blasting Claypool and drinking beers and having fun in the lot, in our little side lot scene. Then I got on the bus over to the Greek Theater, and the bus was blasting Ween, blasting Happy Colored Marbles. It was amazing. And then we got to the show, and I met up with a ton of great people from the Ween board, and got to see my friend Mars, who I see at like every show now, and we started going to improv shows together. And then once the show kicked off, it was amazing. People talk shit on La Cucaracha. Those people don't like Ween. There, I said it. Shots fired. Pew, pew. But they played a lot of great stuff from all throughout. We got a Stallion. We got just an amazing stuff, and it was so much fun. And then that night I went home, got like 2 hours of sleep, and flew to Burlington, Vermont for an amazing friend's 40th birthday. It was a full-on rocket burn throughout a whole weekend. I loved it. I bought a shirt for my buddy and a shirt for myself, but I dropped one on the ground. Anyway, I gave him my tie-dye, the mollusk. It was so much fun. The best Ween show for me is always the last one I saw because that's the freshest memories. Thank you guys, Weencast Podcast, for always holding it down and shining a light into the brown. Wow.
It's always great to hear from Eli.
Yeah, that's cool, man. That's cool. And that sucks about the shirt.
I know. Losing
But-
the shirt in the mud. Is that what he said?
He's obviously not that torn up about it. So
Dude, if I had to shed tears over every Ween shirt that I've lost over the years, I mean, I think the only one I actually have at the moment is a Dean Ween Group show shirt.
that's a good one to have.
All right, so some of the highlights from the Greek Theater: Chocolate Town, Light Me Up, Did You See Me, The Stallion Part 1.
Piece of shit. Dick, you should sue. You're on a fucking way.
Stay Forever, Polo Asado, which is awesome. Don't Sweat It. Oh man, that's great. It's Gonna Be a Long Night. Gotta Put the Hammer Down. Falling Out, Shame Maker, and Polka Dot Tail, and Tender Situation. Those are your rarities, uncommons.
Yeah, man. Cool show.
So there's some great shit there, like Falling Out 11 times total.
Mm-hmm.
Don't Sweat It 80. That's a beautiful song. Polo Asado 13. So there's some great rarities. And again, the reunion era, like they just layer on the uncommons and rares. Really are always trying to bring back shit that they haven't played in a while.
I love seeing Polka Dot Tail make a comeback,
Yeah,
by the way.
that's pretty cool.
That could really be like a great like jam out.
That's awesome. So anyway, thank you, Eli, and always love to hear from you. And Shots Fired, La Cucaracha is still good music, guys. It might not be their strongest album, but there's a lot of great tunes on it.
Oh yeah.
So I'm not going to hate on La Cucaracha.
No.
So anyway, Eli, so nice. That could be a discussion we have. All right.
So let's go to our next entry, and this is actually the winner from last year, and this is Ed.
Yeah, so Ed, this is he actually talks about he kind of bends the rules a little bit, but he talks about live in Chicago at the Vic Theater. They were recorded at the Vic Theater in Chicago in 2003.
We'll accept
The
it.
November 7th, 8th, and 9th. And I think the actual recordings were the 8th and the 9th, right?
Something like that, yeah.
And I don't think anything from the 7th actually makes it onto the video, but I could be wrong. I guess I need to
Yeah, I
check
think
that
it's
out.
Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And there's nothing from, I don't think Friday is part of the recording.
Yeah, I think that was more of a warming up. But yeah, so let's go to Ed.
Hey, this is Ed Pogue, winner of last year's Ween Podcast Summer Contest and proud owner of the West Brandywine Woodworks piece of art from last year. And I gotta tell you, it's wonderful. Whoever wins this year is definitely going to love what they get. And I do not believe that I should be in the running this year because I'm going to tell you, and pause for gasp, I have never attended a Ween concert. I know, long time fan, 25 plus years fan, never attended a concert. And I hate myself for it as much as you despise me saying it. But that's okay. A couple of years ago, my wife wanted to make sure that something could happen. And she did purchase a copy of the Live in Chicago DVD for me so I could actually have a physical copy of the DVD. And I have seen that. And probably I have to say it was live at the Vic Theater in Chicago, Illinois. I know it's probably my favorite live version that I've ever heard of a couple of different songs. I'd say specifically Dr. Rock. I loved it. But Transdermal Celebration, probably my all-time favorite. Yeah, I'm going to say it. Favorite live performance of that song. But anyways, I don't know who's going to win. I hope whoever wins truly appreciates what you've got. And really, man, I got to say, shout out to y'all for keeping this up and doing this every year. And I can't wait to see who wins. I can't wait to see them post some pictures with it. So good luck, everybody. And see you later.
All right. It's great to hear from Ed. And, we forgive you for never having been to a Ween show. That's totally cool. I mean, you got to do what you got to do, and every fan's in a different place.
I hope we can go to a show together.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
And I would just add that, great shout out for West Brandywine Woodworks. He won last year's contest. Whoever wins today, Ed's vouching for the quality of the woodwork, and you got yourself a real treat coming your way.
Yeah, man.
So anyway, thank you, Ed, for chiming in, and it's always great to hear from you too.
All right. And so next we are going to go to, this is a bit of a monster. So we are talking to another good old school friend of the podcast, someone who's been messaging me through Facebook almost since day one and has always been so nice and so complimentary. And his name is Matt. We did not know, we didn't really put a limit on how long, your entry could be. Matt just did an amazing job and just sent in this brilliant story about his entry. And this is kind of another old school show. 3/31/2001.
Yeah, dude.
From Bogarts in Cincinnati, Ohio.
All right. Okay. So I'm gonna read this one. Matt typed it out, so we'll go ahead and read it. My favorite Ween shows always change, but they're a handful I always go back to and listen to and think about. For about 10 years now, I keep going back to this show at Bogarts in Cincinnati on Saturday, March 31st, 2001. The other Bogarts shows are great, but this one just keeps calling me back. Every time I had seen Ween in Cincinnati, up to that point, they had blown the roof off of Bogarts, so I figured this wouldn't be any different. They had played Bogarts 3 times before, and this was the 4th and final time they played at Bogarts. Unless, of course, they decide to go back someday. I was 29, and my friend Kevin, who was 40, was going to go with me to see Ween again. He had seen Ween a handful of times with me starting at the 930 Club in 1994. After he went to that 930 club in Washington, he thought Ween was the best rock and roll band touring the world, and the old fucker wasn't wrong. He was the one that told me they were playing Bogarts. So I drove across the country to get him and go to the show. And when I got to his house, he looked bummed out. He was standing on his porch with his 16-year-old son Joey, just shaking his head. Kevin told me to come inside and sit down, and he proceeded to tell me how his boss called and he had to go and work 16-hour shift at his job, where he had a lot of pressure and responsibility, so he couldn't possibly back out of it. He was so depressed. I would not know that feeling of missing a Ween show that I had tickets for until 2017, when I had to miss that excellent St. Patrick's Day show in Chicago at the Aragon. That one still kind of stings. I now know how Kevin felt that night. But since he could not go and he loves Ween, he asked me, Matt, man, I know you love tripping Ween shows, but Joey, Kevin's 16-year-old son, has not ever seen Ween or been to a show yet. And Bogarts is all ages club. And as much as I want to be at his first show, man, would you please take Joey to the show tonight? I'm sorry you drove all the way here and have tickets, and I'm asking you to stick to Herb at the show. But would you please take Joey tonight, man? I want him to see Ween if I can't go. And I said, dude, I'm not an out of control Kim Leary. I love seeing Ween on acid, but I can just as easily love seeing Ween tonight not on acid. Plus, Al Qaeda Trainwreck will do the trick. And man, I used to go see the Grateful Dead, and there were a lot of times I wouldn't drop acid. I mean, sometimes Bob Ware would wear shorts, and if you were tripping, you could see his nuts through 'em. And I wasn't trying to do that every night, or really any night. But hey, I can totally do that, Kevin, and I would love to take Joey to Bogarts for that Ween show. Just tell him what he can do and what he can't do. And I'm smoking herb, and I won't smoke until I get to the show. That train wreck reeks anyway. So Kevin went to work that night, and Joey and I drove the back roads to Cincinnati on a rainy, yet sunny day in early spring. We even saw a few rainbows along the way. He even pointed it out and said, Look, a rainbow. Maybe they'll play that song that's on that South Park album. And I remember I said, We got to ride tonight. My little homie Kenny died tonight. And then I told Joey to put that CD in and we listened to that album on the way. Joey was 16, so he was listening to a lot of old albums for the first time. He already knew Ween albums and loved them. At that age, he was still finding classic rock albums, and his favorite band, like a lot of kids his age at the time, was Metallica, and he also loved AC/DC. He, like a lot of people, thought Angus Young was the shit. Joey still loves all of that stuff. And all of these things I mentioned about Joey and the bands he loves and the things that happen come into play. He was 16 and had never been to a rock and roll show, let alone a Ween show. And anyone that can hear this could go to that set list and see how that kid had his mind completely blown that night by Ween at his very first rock and roll show ever. He experienced one of those shows like when people tell you Ween were reading their mind. Everything that happened both that day and night to Joey made it seem like it was almost in the cards and that it was fate for him to see Ween that night. So we get to the show and park and get inside, and even though it is early, the place is packed. Joey had never been in a bar or in a crowd like that, and he had a shit-eating grin from ear to ear. The lights up in the room. So the lights finally went down, and I told Joey, man, listen to the drummer, unless they start with Nan. And if they start with Nan, watch Dina play that solo. And he said, I hope they play the mollusk and baby bitch. And right then the lights went down. Claude sat down and started hitting the kit just to warm up, and it sounded like a machine gun. Joey even said, whoa-ah. And I said, your name is Joey, and you just said, whoa-ah. Stop that shit. He laughed and said, man, that drummer is good, isn't he? And I said, Claude Coleman is more reliable than a machine. Get ready for the clinic to start, Joey. And the band was milling around, and the lights went up a bit, and Dina started that riff to Nan, and the little dude was so excited when Dina started playing that he got air. He said, fuck yeah, Nan, and it was excellent. At that point in the time, anytime I saw a show with Nan as the opener, it was killer. Still to this day, I love when they come out and start with Nan. After Nan, we got Captain Fantasy and Gina's vocals were already blowing Joey away. He even said he's like the albums, but better. You nailed it, Joey. After that Captain Fantasy, we got to Take Me Away, and Joey again turns and tells me, man, Gina is a strong singer. And I told him, Joey, is this the best already or what? And he said, yeah. He said, yeah, this kicks ass. I said, well, get ready, because they are going to play 30 or 35 songs tonight. Joey's eyes got big, and I just said, yeah. Next, we got Exactly Where I'm At, and we all love these Ween songs, and my favorites are always switching and coming back around again. And at that time, and still to this day, I'm a big fan of that song. So Joey, just 4 songs in, was ready to rush the stage. The kid was gone on the Ween. I remember he told me after Exactly Where I'm At, the bassist looks like he is doing nothing, but he is doing everything. He makes it look like it's easy. Then Joey said, I feel it in my chest. And I said, wait till you feel it in your balls. He laughed. And as for this Ween show, during this show, the lights came up a few times to assist the crew, and the white stage lights were really bright, too. So when they would do that, you could see the entire room just like it was daytime, and they had all the lights on. And the atmosphere and the feel of that show was so much fun. A bit later, they did Voodoo Lady, and Joey was psyched when he heard that come out of Dina's guitar, and he should have been, because, man, I still think that is one of the coolest and wildest Voodoo Ladies I've ever heard. Dave was thumping on the bass. Dina was on fire. He was so good on this version, even with a little flub. It reminded me of Garcia and how Jerry would do these amazing things, and the little flub made it sound even cooler, or prettier, or even more soulful. Dina doesn't flub much, but when he does and pushes through it, I always think it sounds like really cool and unique. That Voodoo Lady is one of the reasons I listen to that show a time or two every year, and every now and then go hit it on Boognish Monster 2. A lot of Ween fans collect Ween shows, but if you do not have that show, go check it out on Boognish Monster sometime or over at Archive. Some of these tracks do not have 40 views on Boognish Monster, and I just think this show is as good as any Ween show I've seen since 1993. That Voodoo Lady, man, I think it's on fire. Oh, listen. After the Voodoo Lady, I had my little mind blown as I got to hear Albino Sunburn Girl for the second time live, and this was the 5th time they had played it live. Gina doing his magic here with the band. The vocals were so good on this show in that room. Joey dug that Albino Sunburn Girl too. It built up nicely. At this point, you can see this song is coming along already, and Ween fans will come to crave it loud. Good version. Next up was a humdinger of a Don't Get Too Close to My Fantasy. This band had to start it over, and that just meant double fantasy. We were screaming. Dina was reaching out toward us, all of us. The crowd was up for this one. Fast forward a bit, and they rocked out Buckingham Green. Band putting on a clinic. When the song was over, it would be the very first time out of hundreds of times in his life that Joey would say, Ween is a trip. After Buckingham Green, we got a tear for Eddie. I always love hearing this one for multiple reasons. The room was nice and stoned at this point. It was perfect timing. I like this version. It's pretty and loud and clear, and Dina is leaning into it. Claude's cymbals would sound good on the tapes for this show too, but live, well, you know, Claude is the best. Next up is where things started to feel a little magic for Joey. He was already sold on Ween, but what was to come would take him to new places. He wanted to hear Baby Bitch, and he got it. As usual, the crowd went wild. Joey loved it. And after Gina was done singing and strumming, he said, man, these guys are the best. Later in the show came a dream for a 16-year-old kid that loved Metallica more than anything. When they started playing Enter Sandman, Joey started jumping up and down again. I think this was a good version of Sandman. Dina was jamming and Claude was playing the drum pop better than Lars. Dave was loud live on this one. Then after Enter Sandman, Joey kept getting Christmas Early from Ween. They did Homo Rainbow, and he had never been to a show, so he had never seen everyone singing along. He's a modern-day country boy and still at work, the farm kind of guy every day, and he loved seeing that. He went home and said, Mama, everyone was singing Homo Rainbow. It was so cool. I had to laugh when he said that. Another highlight was Sorry Charlie. I had only seen them do that song 3 times at that point. I always dig when Dina does that song. Solo in this one is great. It sounds like Dina doing Neil Young at the end. I still remember, and I loved it. After that, it just kept getting better for me because I had never heard Mononucleosis. I was stoned, and I thought Gina's voice and guitar were drawing people in. That song is always great, and I was really glad to hear it that night. After Mononucleosis, they did one of the prettiest versions of Sarah I had ever heard live. Dina was strong. Dina's guitar on this one would make me go climb a mountain. No matter how it is done, that solo never gets old to me. The lights kept coming up at Bogart's that night too, and the guys kept calling out to Kirk and asking him that he wanted to hear. And after Sarah, people started yelling, Free Bird! And well, Dina did it. He fucking did it. Yeah. It was pretty fun. That was a really fun moment at that show. Joey had in his mind blown again. He'd said, do all bands do stuff like this during their shows? And I said, no, only Ween does this, Joey. That Freebird was funny to me, too, because the only other time before that Bogart show in 2001 that Ween tried to play Freebird was at my first Ween show on Valentine's Day in Nevada in 1993. After Freebird, Ween almost made Joey have a heart attack at 16. Dina started playing the opening for Those About to Rock, and Joey said, no way are they going to play songs from my 2 favorite bands. I said, yeah. You better send those guys some cards during the holidays because I don't even believe that they are playing these songs with you here. This is nuts, Joey. Then they ditched for Those About to Rock when they went into Stroke or Ace and the place went wild. Joey loved that song. So again, Ween were delivering for his first concert. It was an excellent version too. After that came a song that I had only heard live one time, The Enabler. This time around, it was fun. The crowd pitched in on this one. And next up came one of my favorite moments ever seeing Ween. It was the first time I got to see Claude finally do Put the Coke on My Dick. Joey laughed his ass off. It was so great. Claude ripped it up. Claude Coleman is the greatest drummer. And next up for me was a big highlight in getting to hear She's My Baby. That was only the second time they had played that song. Dina's voice gets me on that one, and the lyrics are so great. I was glad to hear this one on that night in Cincinnati. Great fucking song. And then came the closer. I will always love 3 encores, probably the most. Fit Cloud, LMYP, and Buenos Tardes Amigo. And on that night, they went with one of my favorites with Buenos Tardes Amigo. This version was so fucking great. It too could be the best Buenos Tardes Amigo that I have ever heard. And I have heard that song quite a few times live. They did it justice that night. They played all those songs I had never heard live, and they seemingly read the mind of Joey. When the lights went up, Ween had played 34 songs, and they had a new fan for life in Joey. Just another day at the office for Ween. Ween is the greatest band in the world.
Yeah, so Matt talks about some of the highlights from this show, but I mean, just some like crazy stuff. Like when reading through this story, I'm like, what? You know, this was a show that was never really like on my radar because it's from back in those days before, you know, Facebook and yada, yada, yada. But I mean, some of the crazy highlights that are on here, you know, Albino Sunburn Girl, The Stallion Part 5, Enter Sandman, which we had seen that once or twice from that time period, Sorry Charlie, Mononucleosis, Sarah, Freebird. What?
Technically unfinished, but second time all time. Like it's only ever played once, and this time they didn't finish it.
For Those About to Rock, Tease, and then The Enabler, Put the Coke on My Dick, She's Your Baby, which is this the second time this was ever played? Is that right?
Second time She's Your Baby
Dude.
ever played.
So you have all those cool little like teases and little snippets, which are the most fun things of basically like any show. I mean, let's be honest. You know what I mean? And you got the second time She's Your Baby was ever played. It's nuts.
There's a lot of songs that those highlights that are one of the first times that song's ever been played. So Albino Summer Girl 5th, Stallion Part 5 8th, Enter Sandman 8th, Mononucleosis 8th, Freebird 2nd, The Enabler 10th, My Coco My Dick 11th, She's Your Baby 2nd. So like most of these songs, think about how rare and unusual they were at that time.
Right.
They were all just like barely ever even played.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that is amazing. Another interesting thing about this show is this was during the Glenn hiatus. So Glenn was not part of this. And we actually covered that. We went to Norva in 2001, about a month after this, a little less than a month. And one of the things we noted is how they kind of rocked a little bit more. Like they obviously step away from the songs that would feature Glenn more prominently. So if you look at this highlight list, it is a lot more of those songs. Like, I mean, dude, they have a couple covers, like rare covers that they
Right.
do.
Right.
So
Yeah.
pretty awesome. I do want to also add that in chatting with Matt, he did point out, and just sort of like disclosure, like this entry was this was a memoir, a fictionalized sort of memoir. So we're not going to say that every single thing that he said might have been to the letter, but I guess we can get some more clarification from him. But nevertheless, just an awesome, ridiculous story.
Yeah. Thanks, Matt.
Anyway, Matt, great entry, and thank you so much for taking the time to write that out, dude. That's pretty incredible.
Yeah, thanks, dude. Okay. So we're going to jump back into a current one with our buddy Jeff, who submitted an entry for 4/29 of this year, 2023, at the Orpheum Theater in New Orleans, Louisiana. So you should have saved your accent for this one, but he actually sent us
Yeah, I couldn't read this
sent
one.
us a real audio file.
The cool thing about this is it's not from the summer tour; it's from that little spring tour that they did. So it's a different part of 2023. And anyway, so let's go ahead and play Jeff's entry.
Hey, Shane and Rory, this is Jeff. I'm from Connecticut. Just wanted to send in my submission, but first want to let you know that I am a big fan of your podcast. I'm relatively late to the game with it, so I'm getting caught up on all the episodes, but I really love hearing it. Love you dissecting the shows, all the detail you guys go into. I just love hearing Ween fans talk about Ween. I think is what it comes down to. So just a quick background with me and Ween. So I am 37 years old, so I'm a little bit on the younger side, I think, of some of the other folks that have been around when they were kind of, when they first came out in the 90s and everything else like that. So I was aware of them in the late 90s, actually through Napster. They had a song on a playlist on Napster. It was Baby Bitch, and I remember hearing it and loving it. But then after Napster went away, it was just something where I didn't revisit them. But later on, when Spotify came out, I remember the song Baby Bitch. I looked up Ween, heard the whole Chocolate and Cheese album, got obsessed with it, and then within a very short period of time, learned all of their discography, and then was listening to some of the recordings on YouTube, the live recordings, all the stuff on Re-Listen, all the audience tapes, and just became obsessed with them. And once COVID was done, I was fully amped up to see them live finally, which I was able to do. My first show was at the Capitol Theater in Port Chester. But my favorite show, though, and the story I wanted to submit was the most recent one that I've seen, which was the New Orleans show, the second night of the New Orleans show in the Orpheum Theater at the end of April. And so the story there was, I live in Connecticut, so when I first was made aware of the show, normally it wouldn't be one that I would think of. It's just too far away, and I have full-time job, 6-year-old son. It's just hard to normally coordinate something like that. But at the time, right before that show was announced, I had been going through a little bit of a change in my life, in that I had been married for 10 years, had a 6-year-old son, and just recently had gone through a divorce. So it was something that came up very, very almost out of left field and really caught me off guard. But we finished up the divorce, filed all the paperwork and everything else, and I was transitioning between two. We had to sell the old house. I was kind of going to another one, so I was kind of figuring out where do I go from here. And just in bed one night, and saw on my phone that the shows were just announced. And without really thinking through a plan, I just bought the tickets for the 2 New Orleans shows, and I figured I'd make it work. And if I couldn't make it work, then it's only a little over $100 I was out. So booked the tickets. Didn't really think about it for a couple of days. I had some time to plan it. And I think the initial plan was that, it was a long weekend type thing, so I'd fly out there, see the shows, and head back in. But the more I thought about it, the more I was like, hey, I can make this into a bigger thing, because I have family on the East Coast. North Carolina, my uncle, who was a huge musical influence on me, in that he kind of helped me shape my musical tastes, got me really kind of widen my taste with what I was listening to. He was a big Dead fan, but also liked all kinds of experimental music, so he would just send me albums, send me boxes of CDs and everything else, and he kind of helped me become the music listener I am now. So I wanted to visit him. I had been a long time since I've seen him. My dad also lives in Tupelo, Mississippi, which is only 5 hours away from New Orleans. Haven't seen him in a few years, so I figured, I'm like, hey, maybe I can make this, I could take a week, make this a road trip or something. And then it kind of developed from there and became this kind of big thing. And as I was planning it, my younger brother, who lives out in Bend, Oregon, he became interested in it, and he actually took off a week and made the effort to come over and join me for the road trip, and join me to see the shows. And as kind of a side note, I got him into Ween within the past year or two, and he has kind of fallen head over heels for them as well. So he was amped up to see them too. So anyway, he joined me on the trip, and there was several stories in itself that I could go into, but I don't want to take up more longer than I already have on the voice recording. But he joined me. We saw my uncle, we saw my dad. A lot of really good times. Then we went over to New Orleans. We had a couple of days, and then the shows happened, and it was just incredible. It's the first time I've ever been there, and being with him, he's kind of one of my closest brothers. Just kind of partying, but having fun, being safe, and then seeing the shows. And we got there, and we were almost on the rails. We were right behind kind of the first flare. But it was, the show started, and it was such a great theater, such a great crowd, really, really great energy. The boys were on fire. Set list was amazing. They really were really good at, especially more than some of the other shows I've seen, of really putting all kinds of dynamics into the set list, where they would go into some hard rock and stuff, and they would really kind of go spaced out with a Zoloft or they were just good at kind of feeling the emotional wave of the crowd, and kind of knowing when we needed to back off, and knowing when we wanted a little bit more. So it was absolutely incredible. But the second night was probably my favorite one. I don't know if it was just the energy of the crowd, or the fact that it was the last night that they had, last show of the tour, that little mini tour they were on. But they just really, really brought it, and had a diverse set list, and played some of the songs I hadn't heard yet in the few times I've seen them. And the highlight for me was probably hearing Dr. Rock, which is one of my favorite live songs of theirs, but I hadn't actually seen it live until that show. And if you haven't listened to that version of it, there's a pretty good recording of it on re-listen, and you can kind of hear that the crowd chanting to Dr. Rock was louder than what I've ever heard on an audience tape before. And it was such a brown version of this song. It was just rocking, and it was noise all over the place, but it was incredible. One of the best versions I've heard of it, and I was there for it. So definitely a highlight for me. And so that was definitely my favorite show so far, being there with my brother, doing the road trip, it all kind of coming together. But to cap it all off, and sorry this is kind of running long, is that we dropped off the car, and we were going to fly back to our respective states, get through security in the New Orleans airport, get my shoes and belt back on while I'm sitting on a bench, and right next to me walks through security and sits down. It was Gene Ween, Papa Gene Ween. And I recognized him right away, and I looked at my brother. I'm like, hey, that's Gene Ween over there. And he's like, no way. So I he was right next to us. So basically, I stood up after I was done putting my belt and shit on, and I made eye contact with Papa Gene Ween, and I was close enough where I just told him, I'm like, hey, you guys played an incredible show last night. And then my brother right next to me said, yeah, fucking incredible, and gives him a fist pound. And then I give him a fist pound. And then I just tell him, I'm like, man, it's an honor to meet you. And he says, thank you. And then we leave. So it was kind of a short interaction, but it was one where, I was kind of analyzing, as you could probably imagine, afterwards for, until I was boarding the flight. And, but in hindsight, I'm happy that I didn't do anything cringy, like, go for a picture or an autograph or tell some stupid story or whatever. I just, let them know that we appreciate what they do. And, he was also there waiting for his family to come through. So I didn't want to, catch him off guard in public. And, that just kind of irks me a little bit when people do that. So I just wanted to be, to try to be respectful and but also let them know that I'm a big fan and kind of that love what they're doing and, want them to keep on doing it because they're still playing incredible live shows. So that was it. And then we went home, and the memories, definitely one that I'll remember forever. Even though there might be some shows that top that musically going forward, who knows? But yeah, that's my submission. But thanks again for everything you guys do on the podcast. It's amazing. I love listening to you guys, all the stories that you have, and listening to your insights on the band and everything else, and interviews and all kinds of stuff like that. So I'll be listening to you guys going forward. All right, thanks. Bye.
All right. Well, first off, man, Jeff, thank you so much for all the kind words about the podcast.
Yeah, thanks.
Glad you're enjoying it and loving it and catching up on episodes. And it's awesome, dude. That's so great. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Jeff. And, it's a really cool story. I love, we kind of like poke fun at ourselves and, the stories about, I got to meet Junior and blah, blah, blah. But you know what? That kind of stuff stays with you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I love that. I love that part of his story because that just makes a fan for life. You know what I mean? And the little times that I've had interactions with the band members and stuff, you'll never forget those.
Oh no, dude.
So, there might be shows where it's like, I can't remember what happened at that show, like, whatever. But rarely does somebody forget, the time I met Diener and, we said this to each other or whatever. You know what I mean? So I love those little tidbits.
Yeah, dude, absolutely. No, it's really cool. And I'm with them. Like, some people kind of come on too strong and it's kind of like, it's kind of irky. So I appreciate that they didn't want to be too crazy, but you just said it like it is. That was a great show, a little fist bump action. That's fucking cool. I do want to say he said his brother is living in Bend and then met up with him. Bend is a really cool little town in Oregon. And I used to live out in Eugene, Oregon back in the day. And I visited Bend many times when we lived out there. And so Bend is such a cool little town by the mountains. So cool. So it's so cool that his brother lives there.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And so some of the rarities, Did You See Me, which was the opener for that, which is really cool. Chocolate Town again, Light Me Up, Albino Sunburn Girl, The Stallion Part 1, Falling Out, I Was Nothing, She's Your Baby, She Fucks Me, Tried and True, Sucking Blood from the Devil's Dick, I'm in the Mood, Loop de Loop, Mushroom Festival in Hell, I'm Holding You, and The Argus.
Wow, that sounds like a great show too, man.
Yeah, dude. I'm gonna have to pull that up on YouTube and listen to it. And I hope that this contest inspires you guys out there to, listen to these shows, find them on YouTube or on archive.org and take a listen. And then you can kind of decide for yourself how good these shows are. Because I don't know about you, dude, but when I'm looking at these set lists and hearing these people's stories, like I'm realizing that all of these are like amazing shows. So very cool.
Should we go to the next one?
Yeah. And, so Jeff, thanks for the entry and, look forward to hearing from you in the future and all that. And thanks for being a listener, dude. It's awesome.
Yeah, thanks, Jeff.
All right, guys. So we got 2 more left, and then we'll make the announcement about which one of these beautiful entries is the winner.
All right. So the next one comes from our great old school friend, August Forming himself, Fred.
AKA Mr. Setlist. I didn't know that was a nickname of his, but that's cool. Now I do.
Well, I would consider him to be Mr. like everything, not just Mr. Setlist, but, Mr. Recording, Mr. So he's always been so helpful with us. And you could check out our interviews with him from a few years ago, which were just a great time. And we just have all the best things in the world to say about Fred. So of course he was nice enough to submit an entry. So should we play his? So this is going to be, and of course he has to bring up John and Peters, 5/12/98. John and Peters, New Hope, PA. Oh my God.
Yeah, dude. And so this is the oldest show referenced of all the contestants from 1998.
Amazing.
The five-piece band really just pretty new at this point. So anyway, here's what Fred has to say.
What's up, Shane and Rory? And howdy to all you Ween peeps and fam. Fred Moore here, a.k.a. August Forming, Mr. Setlist. My Ween story is a little bit involved because the first time I saw Ween was in 1988. I had only ever seen the name around and heard people talk about them, but never really checked them out, mainly because of the name. So my friend, we were going out on a date, actually. She wanted to go see Ween, and I said, cool, let's check them out. I never checked them out. I'd always seen the name. I knew they were from New Hope, so we went to see them. And it was when it was just the two of them. And I thought it was funny and interesting, but the sound wasn't good, and it was a lot of screaming. I was a huge Deadhead at the time. I spent all my spare time going on Grateful Dead tour, and when I came home, I planned for the next Grateful Dead tour. Same with the girl I was with. So I thought, well, if she's into it, I'll stick it out. I looked over at her, and she was wincing. I said, hey, if we leave right now, we can catch the second set of Greg Allman at the Tower. So we bolted down to the Tower Theater from New Hope and got tickets at the half. Like, they were on break when we got there, the Greg Allman Band. They had tickets available at the door. First row right in front of Greg. Somebody didn't come to get their tickets. So we were in like Flint. Needless to say, I had a great night after that. But the next time I saw Ween was almost 10 years later, and they were playing at John and Peters. And my buddy Peter Robleski said, hey, you got to check out this band Ween. And I was like, all right, I'm not really into them. I saw them once before, but I didn't really think they were that great. And my buddy Pete said, oh yeah, well, listen to this. And he put on Tear for Eddie. And I said, that is not the band that I saw. That's amazing. So we went to see them 5/12/98 at John and Peters. And it was an amazing show. Packed house. They did close to 4 hours. And then near the end of the show, they brought up Bill Fowler. And I had never met Bill before. And it happened to be his birthday. So he jumped up and they played Stella Blue. I couldn't believe it. One of my favorite Grateful Dead songs. And these guys are singing songs about waving their dicks in the wind and all this other crazy shit, AIDS and all kind of shit. And then they play Stella Blue, like one of the most delicate Grateful Dead songs there is. And they killed it. And then they went into a song called Let Me Lick Your Pussy. I turned to my buddy Pete and I said, this is my new favorite band. So there you have it, my friends. I hope that meets the criteria. Love you all. Have a wonderful Weencast. See you guys.
That's a great story.
I love that story.
I love that it starts in 1988.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and it's like he's not impressed.
Yeah.
But anyway, so fast forward, and also the Allman Brothers Band, like that's great. Back in the day, man. And yeah, dude, 1998 at John and Peters. So this is wild because he says it's almost 4 hours long or whatever. It's only 28 songs on the set list. So there must have been some amazing jams, dude.
Yeah,
amazing jams.
I'd love to listen to this and to think that they played with the whole band. Now, I know I'm not without checking Brown Bass. I'm sure it happened a few times after this as well. But the fact that they played as Ween in John and Peters 1998, I mean, we had seen them at the Trocadero in January of 98. So, I mean, you think about just like the size comparison, the fact that they were actually playing Ween shows at John and Peters still, like they were just normal shows. I mean, those must have been, just killer, man.
Oh, dude. And when you're thinking about, it's crazy when you go back this far, because when you think about, what are the rarities? Well, so many of the songs hadn't even really been played that much before this time. So when I'm looking at Brown Bass, like so many of these songs, it's like that are completely common. They're still like relatively new at that time.
Yeah, right.
And so it's just amazing. Like, but anyway, so some of the rarities you got, I'm Dancing in the Show Tonight. They open with that. And that's relatively new at that point because it's from the Mollusk. And then Get a Little Taste of You, Tender Situation, only the 24th time ever played. So that's pretty cool.
Wow.
And then you got Laura with the Magic Man, the Salt from Heart, the Tease. And you got Summertime, George Gershwin. This is like the only time they've ever played that.
Yeah, it's cool.
Hot for Teacher, Stella Blue. They played it. This is the third time and 10 times total.
And there's just a song. It's crying like the wind. All broken dreams and vanished dreams.
And then, of course, LMLYP is more common, but less than 100 times at this point. Man, those last two songs combined must have been like 40 minutes right there. And Bill Fowler was in on those
Freaking unreal, man.
because you got Stella Blue and LMLYP. Like,
And just seeing those cover songs and things that they played like that,